This is the World of Tanks Advent Calendar. I believe it's December 11th, 2021. This is the Centurion 5/1. It's a Tier 8 British medium tank. It's also a premium tank. I believe it costs around 6,000 gold. This is a well-armored tank. Other than that, it's kind of an average medium tank. So if you like having armor, what it means is that you'll be able to fight against heavy tanks or against medium tanks. It's one of those cross vehicles. So we're going to go into the comparison. I did not include autoloaders. This is just regular medium tanks. And what you're going to find, first of all, the penetration on medium tanks is all average. This is 226, which is average. It's a little bit of a higher average. 212 is kind of a low average. So, you know, it's at the average for penetration. For damage, it's 230, which is obviously a little low. But the British guns are a little bit different. What happens with the British guns is usually you have a long reload on a medium tank and a short reload on a heavy tank, which is opposite of other vehicles. So the gun loading time is pretty good, which is consistent with the fact that it has lower damage. But the damage is kind of average when you compare it to other medium tanks. There just happens to be a few medium tanks like the T-34 and the M4A1 that have high damage. But other than that, it's kind of average. So then you got the gun depression, which is minus 10. It's also kind of average, but it's a good average, right? And this is a good tank for hull down gameplay. Like, you could compare this to the heavy tanks, and it's somewhat equivalent. For example, the lower plate is 121, which is the best for the medium tanks that I selected. And the turret armor is 254, which is really good. The turret armor is consistent with the P Victoria. This looks like it has better armor than the P Victoria. But it's also competitive with heavy tanks like the T-34. So you've also got the FV-4202, which is obviously a similar vehicle, and I like playing the FV-4202. I do not own the Centurion or the P Victoria. The top speed is 50, which is kind of average. Usually you think of a medium tank as being a little bit fast, but you know they're not. They're a little bit average. And then the view range, you know, they're all about the same. So if you like playing hull down, this is a vehicle for you. I'm going to get rid... Okay, we're going to talk about these vehicles. Which one is the best? Object 274A is a really good vehicle. I highly recommend that vehicle. The pilot is good for sniping. M4A1, if you like Sherman tanks, I've had good games with that tank. I would say this is on the upper half of medium premium tanks, not including autoloaders. There's a lot of autoloaders. I highly recommend you look at the autoloaders because you've got the low armor, fast, medium autoloader like the Progetto, and you've got the well-armored autoloader like the Somua, the Lorraine. Well, I guess not the Lorraine. But you've got a lot of choice with the autoloaders. They're more fun to play. The good thing about the Centurion is that if you look at the tech tree for the British line, there's a lot of vehicles like the Centurion 1, Centurion 7-1, the Centurion AX, the Super Conqueror, the Conqueror, the Carnarvon, that are similar play style. The bottom tier are really cool, like the Comet, the Cromwell, the Cavalier, etc. The higher tiers, not so much. Not a big fan of the higher tier British medium tanks. But it will train up your crew. So now I'm going to go to the garage. We're going to look at the premium tanks. The RAAC. This is a great medium tank. The Progetto, which is right here. I skipped the T-44-100. The Lorraine. These are great medium tanks. You definitely want to look at those tanks. And then you've got the American style, which is like the KR Ripper. There's a lot of American-style tanks like this. I think that you're going to play a lot of these in the game. You might want to consider that. And the Super Pershing is another one of those vehicles where if you like to play heavy tanks, it's got good turret armor, so you can go up against the heavy tanks with this vehicle, and it's not expensive. Surprisingly, with the STA2, I've had a lot of good games with this, and they've got some good things in the Japanese medium tank line. But overall, I'm going to say Centurion, not the best tech tree line, not the best premium medium tank. Good for hull down, good for playing against heavy tanks. It's a big vehicle. It's not maneuverable like the RAAC. I'm going to say try to get an Object 274A, try to get a Progetto. Seriously consider the Super Pershing, which is this vehicle over here, over any of the other, if you want to brawl. So that's my opinion. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.